Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. It's a beautiful fall day. All right, we're live. So good afternoon. We are all set for the live broadcast stream of today's Health and Human Service Committee meeting at 6 p.m. on HPA-TV, Comcast, and Frontier Government Channels 96 and 6032. It'll also be streamed via HPA-TV.org, the HPA-TV Facebook page, and HPA-TV's Roku TV, Apple TV, and Amazon TV apps. It will also be rebroadcast and made available on the HPA-TV YouTube channel. So welcome everyone on this beautiful fall evening. Thank you for joining us. You could be anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with us today. So I'll announce folks on the tiles that as I see them. So first we have voting member Councilman Amilcar Hernandez, fresh off of anyway, I shouldn't put you, well, welcome back, Councilman. And we also have voting member Councilwoman Rossetti. Hello, Councilwoman. And we have Lydia Colon, who works in the City Council office. Hello, Lydia. And we have Gabbie Barnes. Hello, Ms. Barnes. I assume you're here talking about the resolution that is about yourself. We also are joined by Council President Mally Rosado. We also have voting member Councilman John Gale. We have Stephen Waldy here. Mr. Waldy, which item are you speaking on today? Okay. Mr. Randall Davis. Yes, which item are you speaking on, Mr. Davis?
Hi, we're here with the Director of Health and Human Services. The last item, just in case there are questions, we're not speaking to it.
Okay.
And Stephen Waldy is an inspector in our department.
All right, fantastic. Okay, we also have Dr. D. Dr. D, which item are you speaking on?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, thank the Lord. I'm in a very busy and noisy place traveling back in the station of New York. In any case, yes, I'd like to address just some information for item 2.5.
Okay, and at Dr. D, I assume that means Dr. Deutsch.
You're absolutely correct, as usual.
All
Dr.
right.
Councilman LeBron.
All right, all right. And we have our director, Director Jackson Shahid. Welcome, Director. We have our Corporation Counsel, Attorney Osborne. We also have Faith Palmer with the City of Hartford. I believe Assistant Director. And then we have Jessica Forquay from our doctor out of HHS. I know I just messed up that name. Please forgive me. All right, so we'll get started. And so the meeting is called to order. So we have item 2.1 with the company resolution confirming the appointment of Gabbie Barnes to the Commission on Cultural Affairs. And so, Ms. Barnes, what we normally do is kind of free up the floor so you could kind of explain yourself and why you want to join the Cultural Affairs Committee.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. My name is Gabbie Barnes. She, her pronouns. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity tonight to speak before you. So I currently live in the Asylum Hill neighborhood of Hartford on Woodland Street. I have been involved in the arts for a number of years. I'm professionally trained as a librarian and have been working in libraries for the last 17 years. In 2011, I moved out to Seattle. And when I was there is when I really got immersed in the arts and culture community. I worked at the Seattle Art Museum and the Teacher Resource Center. In 2014, I did an internship at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, working in both the library and the public programs department, where I was able to do public tours for the community. I did an internship in undergrad at Real Artways, which is actually where my studio and arts organization that I just started called Free Heart Closet is located. Free Heart Closet is a free art supply trading post for artists to come and get high quality art supplies for free. And we also offer free workshops that are hosted by artists. And the funding for that has come from a campaign I ran through Sustainable Connecticut. So my interest in the Cultural Affairs Commission is essentially just in relationship to my connection to the arts. I forgot to mention, I'm also a board member for the Windsor Arts Center. I work as the branch library, the manager of the branch library in Windsor. And so as a stakeholder in the town, being on the Art Center board made a lot of sense for me. So my interest in the commission is that I have a lot of ideas. I have government experience as a government employee of many years. And I would like to use those things, leverage sort of, my passion, my capacity, and my experience to build incredible arts experiences for Hartford residents and for those who visit Hartford. I think that Hartford has an opportunity to be a arts and culture destination. And with the right people moving that work forward, it's not just a dream, but it's a real possibility. So I'm happy to answer any questions about my experience, if you have any.
Yes, Councilwoman Rossetti.
And I never have a question. Good evening, Ms. Barnes. Thank you for, I say this to everyone who wants to be on a commission, or, well, not everyone, but I'd like to say it to everyone. I want to thank people so much who want to serve on a commission, serve in a way that adds to the fabric of our city. I know I read your resume. It's so impressive. There's so many things you're doing. I know this just adds to another thing of the many things you're doing, but thank God we have people who want to do that. So I always thank people because it's just more time, energy, and service to something that takes away from your life. So thank you very much.
Any other comments, questions from Councilman Gale?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hey, Gabbie, hi. So, and I know you expressed an interest in the Cultural Affairs Commission a long time ago, and so this has been somewhat of a long road getting here today, and thank you for hanging in there. Have you had the opportunity to attend any of the Cultural Affairs, the current Cultural Affairs Commission's meetings, or gotten to know any of the folks that are on the Cultural Affairs Commission at present?
I have not attended any of their meetings, but I know pretty much everyone on the commission in a personal capacity.
Have you talked to them about where they see the commission being today, and what their outlook might be on where the commission could go tomorrow?
The common theme in my conversations is that the commission needs new energy. And so I hope that if I'm, able to join, that I can bring that new energy, and hopefully we can have a more formalized answer to that question sooner rather than later.
Well, I certainly share that hope, and your answer is rather what I expected. Certainly the sense that we've had is that the commission's become a little moribund, and certainly needs an injection of some new life. I don't know what to say as to how it got to where it is, but unfortunately, I think there's certainly opportunities out there that are potentially not being taken advantage of. I certainly want to mention to you a couple of things that the commission was specifically charged with that have maybe fallen through the cracks a little bit at this point in time, and it would be nice, if you get on, if you take an interest in these things. And those are the honorary positions that council created over the last several years, the first of which which was creating a poet laureate, something that the city of Hartford never had before. We passed an ordinance creating the honorary position of poet laureate, and it's funded with a $1,000 a year stipend. And the Cultural Affairs Commission did a great job of rounding up a group of people who were interested and interviewing them and sending back to the mayor for nomination and ultimate approval by council Frederick Douglass Knowles as our first poet laureate. Unfortunately, he served 3 years and it's now been 5 years, and there's been no replacement for FD. So there's something waiting for you right off the bat, and we also we created the office, the honorary position of city troubadour, and Cultural Affairs put forward the name Kaim Kelly, who I saw at Domingo on Sunday, doing a great job of entertaining Park Street. But I believe his term is likely coming up if it hasn't already expired. And not sure that whether there's any plans to, have somebody start the process, because you don't do it overnight. So anyway, just throwing those things out there for you. I hope you get enthusiastic about these. We also have a flow artist, and that hasn't been promoted much at all. Sad to say. We as I agree with you, and it's certainly been said many times, Hartford has an unbelievably vibrant arts community, and it could be an incredible economic driver in this town. But it's got to have, it's got to have a lot of support behind it and a lot of direction behind it. And not to throw all of that on your shoulders, but we're certainly here to help. Councilwoman Rossetti said, we're terribly appreciative of people who volunteer their time. But, I want you to turn around and look at those of us on council as a resource. If you come up with things that council can do, come back to us and sell us on the ideas and make us do work on our side of it, because we all share the same common goal. Want to see the city thrive, and want to see the arts thrive, and certainly to the extent that the arts can benefit everybody in Hartford, let's do it. So thank you, Gabbie. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Gale. Any other questions or comments from my council colleague? I want to take the moment to introduce our majority leader, Councilman Clark, who just joined us. He's also a voting member. Any other comments, questions? So Ms. Barnes, I do have kind of a question and just a thought process. And so the first question is, did you hear, I heard the New York references in terms of your cultural experience. And so some of my friends here in Hartford went out to New York to visit the Jay-Z exhibit. Have you heard of the Jay-Z exhibit? So what would something like that take in order to bring that to Hartford? If you could just, briefly speak on that, kind of quick synopsis. It's drawing a lot of people outside the normal realm of what we think of arts and culture. At least that's what my presumption is. But nonetheless, what do you think? What would it take for the Hartford to bring the Jay-Z exhibit here?
Sure. So the reality of that project is that I think two main stakeholders wanted to bring that to fruition. The first being Jay-Z himself, right? As an artist, wanting to memorialize his legacy. This was an opportunity to do that. And the Brooklyn Public Library, being the entity that it is, it has the resources to do something, of that caliber, especially when you have the resources of someone like Jay-Z behind it. So I think in terms of scale, we wouldn't look at anything at that scale. Identifying a hometown hero who has a national, if not worldwide impact would be the first start. And then identifying the cultural institution that individual is most connected to, and figuring out how both both stakeholders can support, something to that effect.
Yeah.
I am hesitant to put anything on libraries without their consent as a librarian. It happens to us all the time. But, speaking about a specific cultural figure, they might not be as connected to their library. Perhaps they're more connected to a museum, or they're more connected to a public school. But either way, I think it just takes some vision. It takes vision, and it takes people who are willing to actually do the work. That's, I think, where a lot of things fall apart.
Yeah.
In my opinion, here in Hartford is, people have a lot of ideas, but the execution is.
Oh, listen, people have a lot of ideas, but they don't understand that the beauty is actually in the work, know?
Right.
So,
Right.
But thank you. I think that was an excellent answer, and making that connection. And so, and the other big thing, what I heard you say is resources, which is a fancy word for money, right? And so, yeah, but Jay-Z got a lot of it. So nonetheless, all right, the chair, seeing no more questions or comments, the chair will entertain a motion.
Move to send this back to council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
All right, a motion has been properly seconded in terms of favoring, recommending to go back to council with a favorable recommendation. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Any opposed? All right. Seeing none, let the record reflect that this will be going back with the favorable recommendation back to the council meeting. So thank you, Ms. Barnes, for your dedication to our city.
Thank you so much. And I have to jump off to another
Yes,
meeting.
take care.
Appreciate
Take
it.
care.
Bye-bye.
All right. All right, moving on to item 2.2, Mayor Bronin with a company resolution to accept a grant of $813,016.83 from the Connecticut Department of Public Health for public health staff development at the city's Department of Health and Human Services. I believe, Director, you are with us. Director, I believe you're here to talk on this item. The floor is yours.
Sure. So this is the workforce development grant that has been given. Actually, it was part of federal funding that was given to states. And so Hartford has been awarded $813,000 for really enhancing public health staff and improving the public health workforce. COVID really, the public health workforce has taken a huge hit, due to COVID. There has been much burnout. And so, the state has given local health departments funding to try to revamp our staffing and our workforce.
Okay. Are you all set, Director?
Yes, sir.
All right. Open up the floor for any questions or comments from my council colleagues. Councilman Hernandez?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Director, do you have a budget on how this money will be used over the next, 4 years? Almost, 4 years.
So we do have a budget that was given to the state. A lot of the funding will be for, I believe 2 is for, there's a couple of positions that we wanted to add. And obviously there's restrictions because, when I came on, the budget was already done for the year. So there are a couple of positions that we did need in the environmental division. So I believe we added 3 more health sanitarians to that budget. We also put in funding for language services. We also put in funding for education reimbursement. So for instance, a lot of times our staff, sometimes if the salary is not as, it's not on the same level maybe as other institutions, one of the benefits that you can do is a tuition reimbursement or some sort of tuition funding. So we did put some money towards, tuition or education, furthering education. We also put some funding towards workshops And if people also want to get certified in a language that they already speak, because, really, even though people are bilingual, sometimes there is a difference between different dialects, so that people can actually be certified in a specific language. We put some funding aside for that. If you all would like to see the actual budget that we sent to the state, we can send that over to you as well. But yeah, that's the gist of it. It's really to basically increase our workforce, and also to retain the workforce that we already have. There's this thing that's going on, especially with environmental divisions, where they're losing sanitarians like crazy, and they just go back and forth between departments, and basically sanitarians just leave because they want to see who's paying the most. So, I mean, we have done a good job, I think, of kind of reorganizing that division, but we just want to do more to make sure that we're retaining staff as well. So that's what this funding is used for.
Thank you. Yeah, I ask you because the resolution doesn't speak about new positions. It only speaks about retention, speaks about well-being, and an investment in the staffing that we do already have. So yeah, I wanted to kind of like make sure that the money was going to be used for those purposes. But you're saying that there are new positions that these monies will be funding. So yeah, it would be nice if we get like take a look at that budget at some point. But thank you for the clarification on how the money will be used.
Sure. And I'm hoping that, after the 4 years, goes away, obviously the funding goes away. So we're hoping that these 3 new positions, can get adopted into the general fund at some point. That would be great, because, we're already down a lot of sanitarians. So this is a way to increase, the amount of sanitarians that we have through this funding. But, hopefully we get them adopted into the general fund at some point.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you are thinking about that, because that's always my concern when we get these short-term grants and we add new positions. How do we maintain sustainability of those positions? So yeah, that's definitely a conversation. But thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Hernandez. Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion on item 2.2.
Make a motion to send item 2.2 back favorably to council.
Motion has been made. Any seconds?
Second.
All right. So motion has been made and properly second. All in favor? I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. All in favor or any questions or comments? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
All right. All right. Seeing none, let the record reflect that this item will be going back with a favorable recommendation to the General Council meeting. Okay, moving on to item 2.3, Mayor Bronin with a company resolution authorizing the City Department of Health and Human Services to accept the latest round of Per Capita Grant funding from the State of Connecticut Department of Public Health. Director, I think the floor is yours again, correct?
Yes. I can also actually refer it to, I believe my deputy is on, Jessica.
All right, Doctor. I'm not going to try the last name.
Hi, everyone. So we are having this initiative with the South End Senior Center, and we want to promote the wellness of our elders in the city of Hartford. We are planning to use the money to provide services to the clients. It's going to be basically exercise and stimulate them so they can have a better living. And the $90,000 will be used for that, and also for transportation for the seniors back to their house. This is going to be happening after hours, like not after hours, but between 1 and 2, and that time that usually seniors don't have transportation back home. So that's going to be the main use for the money.
Thank you, Doctor. All right. Any questions, comments from my council colleagues? So I have a question, Doctor. Why only the South End Wellness Center?
So it's basically a pilot. Let's see how it how it goes with the South End Senior Center. We also I wouldn't say that we picked the South End because of the language, but the main music that they will be using is like Hispanic, like merengue and salsa. So, and the South End is really diverse. So that's why I said let's do it with the South End. If everything goes fine, then we will try to go with others. I have to say the seniors are really excited about this. Even people like from other language are signing in, and I think they have a list longer than they thought. I mean, we are piloting this for 20 people, and I think they have like 45 people sign up. So I think that we can see like it's already it's well accepted by the elderly community. So hopefully we can bring it to the other.
Okay, Doctor, I'm reading this, and is the amount here 411,000 for this one, or am I in the wrong one?
Maybe we are in the wrong one.
Okay, yeah. So this is the per capita grant funding. So this is for, I'm gonna read the resolve clause. Let me share this because it doesn't say anything about that piece. This is, let me read this here.
And I could take this if this is the complete per capita grant.
Yes, this is the complete per capita grant. Let me just share my screen. Can you guys see?
Yes, I apologize. I was thinking in the a different one.
Okay, so are you guys seeing the resolution here?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, this is the entire per capita, which is including a carryover funding. And because that's a lot for the program. I mean, it's fantastic either way. But I just, all right, hold on 1 second. All right, I'll stop sharing my screen. All right, Director, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so the per capita grant is used for health programming in the department, and it's also used to fund salaries of staff, along with paying for contractors to assist with health programming for HHS. So that's predominantly what the funding is used for. And if anyone wants to see a budget again, we can send over a budget for per capita. But that all of the budgets for grants are uploaded into either CORE, which is the state's new, system or new portal. So, we upload it into that. But as of right now, per capita, has been approved. And yeah, so if anyone wants, that budget, then we can send it over as well.
Right, any questions or comments from my council colleagues? Seeing no questions or comments, Director, you said contractors for this per capita grant. Can you just elaborate a little bit more as to how are we seeking these contractors? Where are the contractors from? What that process is in order to get access to these funds?
Yeah, so these contractors already already have existed within the health department. So they're well, I don't want to say they're continuous contracts, but from last year, we're just paying contractors. For instance, we have a contract that gets paid out of per capita that help assist us with the FAB accreditation. So, we have that contractor. And I believe, to be honest with you, I think that that's the only contractor that we pay out of per capita. But we can pay contractors for, possibly assisting in programmings. And also if we were to hire, for instance, like a grant writer per se, that is approved through per capita. So you would just have to do a budget revision from the state. And then, most likely we would get approval for a grant, writer. But that is because we are hiring that person to improve, health programming. So that's what per capita is used for. It's anything that basically assists with the 10 essential functions of public health.
Yeah, it looks like it's a pretty diverse grant in terms of being able to pay for supplies, materials, fringe benefits. So you really have it at your leisure, not leisure, that's the wrong word, but the ability to kind of earmark it in areas that you feel are best appropriate. Okay, thank you, Director, for following up on that question. Any comments, questions? All right, seeing none, the chair entertain a motion on item 2.3.
I make a motion for agenda item 2.3 to be sent back favorably to the full council.
Motion has been made. Anyone second? All right, Majority Leader second. Motion has been made and properly second to send this item back favorably to the General Counsel. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, let the record reflect that we're sending this back favorably to the General Counsel meeting. All right, so item 2.4, Mayor Bronin with a company resolution to accept a grant of $1,090,000 from the Center for the Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, for opioid response funding. I just have to pause here because this has probably, since COVID, post-COVID, this Director, this is really great to see almost over $2 million in one meeting going to the Health and Human Services Department. So kudos to you and your team and the grant department for getting these things through. I'm very impressed. So Director, the floor is yours. Item 2.4.
Thank you, but I do have to mention that a lot of these grants before I got here were already applied for by the previous health director, Liani. So I do want to give her props on that because she, did put these in. I honestly just followed up on everything. So,
all right, shout out to Liani.
So it was, her and her team that, really applied for these grants, but, we are seeing them through. So this OD2A grant, we were very thankful that we received it. Really is about providing data and really creating a system where we can record overdoses. And so we are working, with partners throughout the greater Hartford area. And really the person who's managing this grant is our epidemiologist, our PhD, Michael Mascari. And he is working, with, other local health departments to create this, I don't even want to say surveillance system, but it's more like creating a data system to capture these events. And he's also working with some of the local organizations, like our Harm Reduction Center within the city of Hartford. We're able to use, really get information from their labs and, really assist in capturing what's going on in the city of Hartford. So it's very specific to Hartford when it comes to overdoses. And I think that that's really what we need because we can use this information, as evidence when it comes to programming. So, yeah, we're really excited about it. I believe it's for 5 years. So we really are excited to see some of these outcomes.
All right, any questions, comments from my council colleagues?
I just want to add is the project is going to be it's for 5 years, but we're going to be collaborating with surrounding towns because we understand this is not a problem only for Hartford. We know that we have people coming from other places to get overdosed in Hartford. So we are partnered with North Central Health District, with Central Connecticut and West Hartford Bloomfield District.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Councilwoman Rossetti.
First of all, I want to thank you for pointing out, what you just said about the magnitude of the grants, but I also kudos to you, Director. Where'd she go? Jackson Shahid, for talking about, your predecessor. I think that's very, just a nice way to put it, but also to not diminish all the work that you all are putting in. So thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm here.
All right, Director. So just a comment, Councilwoman Rossetti?
No, that was just my comment.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Director, so the first thing I want to ask, are we, in terms of shopping for grant databases, is there any idea on the table as to what kind of database we're looking for this? Is this something that currently exists? Is it something that you know, we still have to research and develop? Or are you targeting a certain database, or when this grant was written, was a database or program platform already looked into? I'm trying to sound fancy with my technology, but nonetheless, just curious as to you know, what kind of database.
Jessica, do you want to talk more about this?
Yes, so we're currently using a platform. It's OD map that tell you where the overdose happened. But we need to complete this story with AMR. We have a contract. We're gonna have a contract with AMR, because they're first responders can provide more details, and also with the hospital, like try to make it tied, basically all the demographic information. And one of the things is really important for us is like from where these people is coming, like they're actually Hartford residents who are getting overdose, or like people from outside. So that's one piece that is already there, but we're gonna try to enhance and make it better and more accessible. And the other piece is the laboratory piece. I mean, we want to see what drug exactly is out there. Like it's fentanyl. It's fentanyl combined with Tranquil. Like, so to address this epidemic better, we will be using some lab, and then go from there.
Thank you, Doctor. So I do have a question in terms of would it be safe to say with the, you know, AMR and the other ambulatory services, are we going to see another resolution or some kind of contract allowing them to access our information? Would that be coming through, or have we, you know, how does that work?
No, we haven't formalized yet the contracts. We're still in the process of revising the budget. So after that, yes, we will have in contracts with them.
So my assumption is that my assumption would be that, you know, we're going to purchase this database and allow them to use it for free, right? Because they're going to be helping us to do data entry in the piece, and therefore kind of using a workforce sharing.
It will be a data sharing agreement too.
Data sharing agreement. Okay, great. And then the last question that I have is the Connecticut Harm Reduction Alliance. So I just want to make the distinction, because is this the one with Mark Jenkins, or is this which harm reduction is it? Is this the one that is run on Chatter Oak, across the street from the Chatter Oak Health Center?
I apologize for that, but it's Mark Jenkins.
Okay, yeah, because there is a distinction. So I think that this one, the one that's written here, is actually not the one in Hartford. So I just want to make Lydia, if you could make a clarification on our notes, that you know, just in case when they cut into checks, they send it to the wrong address. Mark Jenkins is doing a lot of great work in our community. We want to make sure that you know, the money goes to where it's designated. All right. So any other questions? Comment, Majority Leader, I seen you come off mute. Do you have a question or comment?
Yeah, I have a question. So what address do they have cited in the resolution?
It's not an address. It's the Connecticut Harm Reduction Alliance, which is another organization, and I think Mark Jenkins' organization is called the Greater Hartford Harm Reduction Alliance. So no, I know they have.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. Go ahead, finish.
No, so after speaking with Mark Jenkins, he told me that there is a distinction between both organizations, and so just following on the information that he had indicated to me.
Oh, okay. Because I thought that he had changed his name since he's statewide. Is now called the Connecticut Harm Reduction.
Oh, you know, I spoke to him a month ago. If it's changed within a month, that's possible.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure because there were some in May or June, Majority Leader, there were some fundings that were CDBG fundings that went to the other organization. And so yeah.
That's unfortunate. Okay. Thank you
Yeah.
for pointing that out here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. All right, so any questions or comments?
I'm sorry. I have to say this.
Absolutely, Majority Leader. The floor is yours.
You're wearing the wrong hat.
Oh, listen, we could talk about that after.
I apologize.
Well, your better half, I know, likes the Patriots. So all right, we'll move on. Yes, moving on. Councilwoman Rossetti. The chair entertain a motion on this item.
I entertain a motion, agenda item 2.4, that favorably to full council.
Second.
All right, the motion has been made and properly second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, let the record reflect that this item will be going back to General Counsel with a favorable recommendation. All right. And so we are moving on to item 2.5, the item that we're all here waiting to eat popcorn for. Item 2.5, Councilman MICHTOM, Councilwoman Hercules, Council President Rosado, Councilwoman Surgeon, resolution for health and safety of Hartford Nail Salon employees and patrons. I want to just state the last, as I remember at our last Health and Human Service meeting, we had discussed the plan. I believe, Director, we had discussed, we were rolling out a plan in terms of how were we going to, as a city, going to execute on rolling this out. There was a discussion about a marketing campaign and an awareness campaign, and there was also discussions about nail salons being open that are not legitimately registered with the city. I believe those were the two topics that comes to mind. But Director, well, let me ask. We have Council President Rosado here, and she was a co-author of this. Council President Rosado, do you wish to speak on this item?
Hi, thank you,
Yes.
Mr. Chair. So yes, I'm actually here. I did miss the other meetings where this was discussed, but I am looking forward to hearing how this would be rolled out, which department would house it, how would the enforcement go about. I mean, I obviously, I get my nails done, and the chemicals can be extremely strong. It could create a health issue. So I actually logged on to this meeting, to hear from our health department.
Thank you, Madam President. And Ms. Kavanaugh, I saw you go off mute. Were you speaking to this item, Ms. Kavanaugh, or Director? Who from the city is representing this item?
Liz will talk a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you. I had to switch to a cell phone. So I think one of the answers to your questions was how many nail salons are listed as businesses in the city of Hartford. And from a list that I obtained from MHIS, as of 2021 data, there were 20 nail salons listed in Hartford. I've reached out again to MHIS because we would like an updated list. And I was promised to have that, within the next couple of days. So none of those salons are brick and mortar salons that we know of. We're planning to permit all the existing nail salons, barbershops, and cosmetologies, including eyelash shops, for the January 1st, 2024 start date, as their permit year is the calendar year, January through December. So I've also reached out to the building department because in terms of ventilation systems, the ordinance clearly states that ventilation systems must be in compliance with the requirements of the Connecticut Building Code. So we can't go in on ourselves and determine whether or not it's compliant with the Connecticut Building Code. I think what we're going to have to do in the long run is to actually first amend the ordinance so that we can factor in and not grandfather anyone. No one's going to get grandfathered, but make a time frame as to when the businesses can get into compliance with ventilation requirements. I just spoke a little bit earlier about the Boston Public Health Commission. They actually came up with a very similar situation, and they had money somewhere, or they found a grant so that their salons could have an engineered plan, because the worst thing in the world is to put the wrong system in and then it would have to be torn out. So, you know, kind of reaching out actually to Boston Health Commission, because they've been at this for a little bit longer. They've amended their ordinances several times for the ventilation situation. And so that's about it. There's, as of 2021, there are 167 salons, barbershop, and cosmetology businesses. So that's all together. But again, only 20 were listed as nail salons. Have any other questions? Yep.
Yes, Ms. Kavanaugh. So I have to say that I'm a bit concerned. I just did a Google search right now, and there looks to be, just on Google in Hartford, there's 69 listed nail salons in Hartford. So 20 seems significantly low. And these are the ones on Google. So I guess the question I have is, I mean, how do we enforce this? What is the plan? We have, I mean, just on Google alone, there are almost 50 more nail salons that are not registered in the city of Hartford. What is the plan to attack this? Because I understand the idea of having safe salons, but we need to make sure that not only are we attacking the salons that are registered and are trying to do things legitimately and trying to support them, but we got to focus on the people that are off the radar. That is much more concerning and much more of a public health issue, because there's no eyes on these organizations or these businesses. What's the plan?
Yeah, do you want to go ahead and forward that list to me? Where, you know, are these home businesses? You know, there will be a zoning component to this also, because there has to be a zoning. Anyone who's licensed will have to be either that part of it. I think they are grandfather claused in, depending on the date. But as far as, you know, currently anyone who's coming in now, we are having them apply for a permit. The last one that came in actually was an esthetician's license, and they're still pending review because they're not finished. So, you know, we have, I mean, I didn't Google nail salons in Hartford as you did. We can try that route, but also I am expecting an updated list from MHIS, from the North American Industry Association. That's the list that we used in years past.
Yeah. So Ms. Kavanaugh, I just want to kind of bring it all together. This is not an indication on you, Health and Human Services, or anything like that. I just think that for me, this resolution, although providing support and the safety for the people that are doing business the right way, if you will, not sure what the right language, but these are the folks that are doing it the right way. And there seems to be a lot of onus on them, and you guys didn't craft the resolution. But again, from a health welfare standpoint, I think the greater issue is the ones that are operating without licenses. And yes, Councilwoman Rossetti, please help. Yes,
Mr. Chair, I think, and I want to commend you on your comment, because I feel again, I just Googled too, and there's tons of nail salons. So to your point, we would be, I don't want to say punishing because that's not the right word, but people who are following the rules would have more onus on them. And it's almost like we need, I agree with the, you know, with instituting this, but it's almost like we have to get our house in order to find out how people aren't registered and operating before we can start enforcing things that will be on people that are already following the rules. I don't know if that.
Councilwoman Rossetti, I feel the same spirit, right? Like, and it's oftentimes as I speak to small business owners, the ones that are bearing the brunt of the interface with the city of Hartford seems to get the wrong end of the stick, right? And so we need more to provide carrots as opposed to you know, these nail salons proliferating without actually being registered. I also think about the people that are owning the buildings that are allowing them to do these things. I even heard from some small business owners that some of the landlords are encouraging folks to just open the business without. And so you know, there's a whole, I mean, you're talking about there's 20 more. There are more people than not registered doing business, almost double. 200% more people, whatever percentage, and so that is quite alarming. Director, I see you with your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to add to assist us with the inspections, because prior to this, we were only going out to inspections based on complaint because of the staffing issue. However, we did hire someone specifically that used to work with the health department before and who is a registered sanitarian to come on temporarily to help us with, you know, these concerns. So instead of just being reactive and waiting for a complaint, we can be more proactive. And that person is, you know, it's kind of like a special project for this particular person that is going to come on and assist us with this. So I did want to, you know, mention that to, you know, so that when we're talking about planning, this is something that, you know, we have been able to do to assist us with this plan.
Director, is it possible with the per capita and can we contract folks to just kind of, you know, do a surveillance in the cities and just see like, hey, listen, okay, here's a nail salon. Is it registered with us? You know, and just do an assessment like that. Just have someone drive in the community and say, hey, listen, here's a nail salon. I mean, you know, and do it that way and then come up with an enforcement plan. What is the best, Councilman Hernandez, I seen you come off on video. Did you have a comment? No. Yeah, Director. I mean, is it possible to get a contractor to help?
So we could possibly contract from another municipality, perhaps, to see if we can get some assistance, but it is difficult to get environmentalists, period. You know, can we possibly put out, you know, something to get a contractor? We could, you know, especially since we've saved, you know, some money from not having positions filled in the environmental division. So, you know, that is something that we could do, just to do an assessment of nail salons in the area that are not particularly licensed. But again, to Liz's point, you know, if they were already in existence prior to a certain date, you know, where we did not have an ordinance. Liz, do you want to talk about that? Because you mentioned it briefly.
No, Director, I understand the grandfather. I understand the grandfather, right? And I think that that is the alternative route of how folks are bifurcating the city of Hartford, right? We're talking about us, and again, I don't want to. There are multiple agencies where these things are happening. Folks are opening businesses going around the city of Hartford. and being told that if you open it for long enough, you have a grandfather clause. But I think one of the things that could be of assistance that we can do as a council right now is change that ordinance. That if someone opens up a business not legitly, and not legitly is slang, I'm sorry, but not legally, and that we would not allow the grandfather clause. I want to be able to assist here. I want to be able to help partner here to kind of corral this all in. And so that way we have the best approach. Councilwoman Rossetti.
Mr. Chair, and I wasn't making fun of not legitly. I like that. And not to open the Pandora's box, and I know we're focusing on this, but someone just texted me. So I think there is a bigger issue with this because also, and I don't know, I could be wrong. They could all be licensed, but the smoke shops are just popping up everywhere. So
Yeah,
this is like kind of a side conversation of this whole conversation. So maybe this is bringing out this bigger issue that doesn't direct what this, I know this resolution is about.
Because you're right, Councilwoman Rossetti. My concern is that, right, as a city with a limited tax base, limited resources, those type of things. And I love the spirit of this and trying to help and make sure that what we're doing safe. I think the bigger issue, and maybe it's my social work background or child protection, right, child welfare background. You're always more concerned when you don't have eyes on something, right? Those are the more concerning ones than the ones that you do. And so, because the potential is far greater, and we've seen around the globe where nail salons have spread, I don't know what they spread, but they could spread bad things. And I'm just thinking globally, how can we help our Health and Human Services Department to partner with this? So with that being said, I think yes, Director.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just wanted to add something else. I think the other piece to this also is that once we, actually go out and put out this information that, for the new salons, this is what you need to do, in terms of licensing, for those who are not following, right, like you were saying, and who are not following the rules, who are not getting licensed, who are under the radar, the enforcement piece is not there. And so that's something that I, have noticed coming on. I believe from what I've been told, we have not done environmental enforcement in the last 5 to 6 years. And so with that being said, even if there is a violation that we're giving, I think the feeling from, most business owners is, well, the health department really is not going to do anything because there really isn't any enforcement, right? So we haven't fined in about, 5 to 6 years. So getting that infrastructure to be able to fine is also really, really important and would be very helpful. Because once we, start, being more proactive, we really have to follow it up. If we're going to, really talk the talk, then we really have to be able to say, when we're going in here, if you're not following the rules, everything in the ordinance that says, all the violations and the fines that you're going to be getting, if that doesn't happen, then they're not going to follow it anyway.
Right.
So we really need to, maybe that's something we can discuss about infrastructure and what we need to start fining in our department.
So yes, Director. So here's what I'm thinking to my council colleagues, my voting members. We definitely can't pass this as is. At least I'm gonna state my opinion. I think there's a global issue, but what I would like to do is schedule a meeting amongst ourselves from a committee to see how can we support the city with a larger issue. You talk about the smoke shops, you talk about the barber shops, you talk about the nail salons. I mean, these places are places that are popping up everywhere and they're popping up illegally. And we need to get a hold of this because, I mean, there's numerous implications in terms of, the tax base, being one of them. But the other thing too is the illegality. If someone is willing to open up a store without legally doing so, right? What else is the potentiality around illegal stuff, if you will? Not proclaiming anything nefarious, right? But nonetheless, we need to get a hold on this because otherwise, we're going to be having businesses that are just running wild. Yes, Councilwoman Rosado.
So, Mr. Chair, what are you suggesting as, understanding I have majority leaders on here and
Yeah. So
Councilman
what I'm
Miranda.
suggesting is, I'm suggesting that we postpone this item to bring it back again. And then that way we can talk offline. I'll meet with the director, myself. And I'll meet, maybe we all can meet together to talk about what are some of the things that we can kind of put in place or somewhat of a plan to put in place. So that way we can kind of get a grasp onto how can either through resolutions or ordinances or, earmarking monies or finding ways. I'm just really, really concerned about coming post-COVID in the pandemic and seeing that spread and the potentiality around non-regulated businesses spreading something else.
Are you asking for a motion?
Yes,
to postpone?
yes.
I make a motion to postpone agenda item. Now I lost track of it.
2.5.
2.5. Back
Can
to
there be
right.
any comment? Can there be any comments from others for information?
Well, Dr. Deutsch, I'll give you a couple seconds. Did you contact Lydia that you wanted to speak on this?
Not Lydia, because it wasn't possible to find out. But I tried to contact you personally. I wonder if I might add a little bit of information. Is it
Sure.
all right? Good.
Yes, it is. It is all right, Dr. Deutsch.
The first thing is a great appreciation for discussion at this moment, which was the purpose of the resolution, which called attention to the ordinance. The second thing we should very much appreciate is the director's comments that we have found and are in the hiring process of additional sanitarians. These are the people who we should all appreciate. They inspect and protect the health. In the case of restaurants and food, there were times when we put stickers on the window, giving them an A, a B, or a C, which to me meant closed. So in the same way we can inspect restaurants, any individual can go into a nail salon and use her or his nose to see if there is easy detection, as people can do, of various fumes. And any of us can read the little labels on the tubes of cement. It says, do not use in a closed environment. The issue of ventilation can be solved. And of course, an ordinance can always be amended and rewritten, but ventilation means to the outside. And the information I must give is that the small fans by each station or the blue masks do not help in the least, because they do not exhaust the air with these vapors into the outside of the establishment. And so all of this is very well documented in some documents from the Environmental Protection Agency and OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health, as to how to design the ventilation tools and what are the most harmful fumes. And the director just this afternoon was very helpful when she said that it's not only some American cities like Seattle and other cities, but there's a law in Morocco, the country of Morocco, which prevents the use of certain of these chemicals, which are known. And again, for people interested, the chemicals can cause cancer in the lungs or in the organs that make your blood, your red blood cells. That's called aplastic anemia. So one could go on, and I've just about exceeded my 2 seconds, Mr. Chair, but I much appreciate what we have done, but I would be reluctant to say postpone it once again, because each and every day there are some women exposed to this, and we do not allow smoking in restaurants and public places. There is a death rate, which is very hard to define, of long-term illnesses in the blood system, in the lungs, in the kidneys, and so on and so forth. So I beg the council not to postpone once again, because there are plenty of things to be ironed out. That's absolutely true. But the education campaign that the director and others have mentioned is crucial, so that women and some men as the majority leader reminded me once, are subject, when they go into these nail salons, to these fumes, and especially the women who work in them, many of whom are unprotected, may not have health insurance the way it would be favorable, and so the disaster is sort of cooking. So again, one can urge the council, as a matter of life and death. I don't exaggerate. It's life and death and disease. So the council can certainly act and then amend. We can always amend and figure out in the ordinance exactly how to do it. It's not a matter of punishment also, but incentive. And we have plenty of individuals in L&I and small contractors who live in Hartford who can work on good ventilation systems to really protect the health. And that's what cities are supposed to do, isn't it? Health
Yes,
departments.
agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right,
Okay,
Dr. Deutsch,
so-
thank you. So, and I just want to just clearly state in the resolution, also let me introduce Councilwoman Hercules, who just joined us. So in the resolution, it states all the harms or hazards, but the purpose of enforcement, right, is at first is to ensure compliance of laws, right? It's the compliance piece. So here we are just kind of narrowing in on the folks that are doing the right thing, right? And they're registered. So maybe there's a campaign and those type of things, but there is a broader group of folks that haven't even done that. So in order, if you have limited resources as a health department, you have to tackle the greater challenge, right? And the greater challenge is the double amount of businesses who claim they are nail salons that are not even registered with us. That is a huge concern. So when you talk about the issues of the legitimate ones, can you imagine the proliferation of issues in the non-legitimate ones? And so when you talk about a city that has limited resources and you're talking about enforcement, we have to have a strategy that makes sense. Councilwoman Hercules, I see that you're Dr. Deutsch. So I allowed you to speak. So this isn't going to be a back and forth. This is a council committee meeting. It isn't an open forum. I allowed you to speak. I hear you. Fine. So Councilwoman Hercules, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And I'll be brief through you, Mr. Chair. I'm just asking for this committee to not delay in, approving or passing this resolution. I think it has been kicked around for quite some time. And, the one thing it has taught me is in the future when we are proposing ordinances to ensure that there is enforcement language in it, because it really shouldn't be this two-step process where we have an ordinance on the books and it's not being enforced. And now we find ourselves, a whole term later trying to enforce an ordinance, because what I worry about being a legal practitioner is lawsuits. I mean, the city could be liable for not enforcing its own rules, right? And not protecting its residents and people who come and visit the city. And that puts us in a very precarious situation, one which we're already in on many different fronts. So I think that certainly a campaign, I think it was mentioned like a education campaign while health inspectors are going out and talking to salon owners to see if they are in compliance. It shouldn't take much more to inform this ordinance and say, you have X amount of days to show that you are in compliance, or if you're not, these are the things that we can assist with to get you in compliance with this ordinance. I don't think it's a huge lift considering it has been on the books. And so someone must have been thinking about it. I understand we have a new phenomenal director and I don't underestimate the amount of work that the department has, but I do think that this could be a collaborative effort with a few different departments possibly, and we don't need to delay this any further because the health and safety of our residents should always be our top priority and our business owners. It's a mutually protective measure for the people who work there as well as the people who go and patronize these establishments.
Agree with you, Councilwoman Hercules. We have a motion on the floor. I just want to state with the open up for lawsuits. That's exactly what happened on Farmington Avenue. So because we decided to go in a direction with narrowly focusing enforcement on an area where we needed to really focus on the legitimacy of things. And so to the tune of $1.3 million that we all were a part of. I think that is the better approach, and this will be a more safer one than to narrow in on the folks that are doing good now. I'm not saying that this needs to go away, but I'm saying is in terms of limited resources. But anyway, we have a motion on the floor to postpone. Is there any second?
Second.
All right. Motion has been made and properly second. All in favor of postponing this till next month, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All right. Let the motion show. Any nays? All right. Let the motion show that we have postponed this to next month. Director, let's huddle offline so we could talk about how we can help. And then to my committee members and the folks who wrote this resolution, we really need to have a conversation as to how to approach this in partnership with everyone. So with that being
Mr.
said,
Chair, let
yes.
me know how I can be of help.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rossetti. So with that being said, there are no more items on the agenda. Everyone have a beautiful evening. Peace and love.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.